I created a content at the beginning of the summer in order to earn extra money on the side to help pay for our basic necessities that our salaries were no longer meeting. I chose an anonymous name as well as blocking the entire state of Arizona on my OnlyFans so that it wasn't accessible to anyone living in the state.
A teacher and her husband lose their jobs for filming an X-rated video in her 8th grade classroom, and she's speaking out. Criminal defense attorney Kurt Altman breaks down this wild new story. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Well, I'll tell you that this isn't a story that you hear every day, and maybe I should say thank goodness for that, because we go to Arizona, and in Arizona, there's this 8th grade teacher and her 4th grade teacher husband who lost their jobs for filming an X-rated OnlyFans video inside of a classroom. You heard me right. They had sex, videotaped it, and then posted it to her OnlyFans page. Now, the person I'm talking about is Samantha Peer, who goes by the name Khloe Karter on OnlyFans, and she explained a little bit more of the situation in a YouTube video message.
The video that was created and advertised was made after contract hours on the weekend. No minors were ever present or involved in the videos. I am already paying the consequence by losing my teaching certificate as well as losing the job that I loved most. I thoroughly enjoyed working with my coworkers, teaching my students science, and it brought joy to me every day. Looking back at the situation, I wholly regret creating the video in the classroom after school hours. But I felt trapped in my financial situation, and I felt this was the only way that my family would be able to survive.
So she says she did this to make ends meet, and she spoke about how bad teachers' salaries are. And while she regrets doing it, she then says that she was pressured to resign after being put on probation and administrative leave. And then she goes on to say how she's become a pariah in the community with a target on her back. I want to break this down, and I'm joined by a very special guest. Arizona criminal defense attorney Kurt Altman is with us. Kurt, it's good to have you here on Sidebar. I'm sorry we picked this case from your state. I'm sorry, but we had to.
Hey, Jesse, thanks for having me. Fun to be talking about Arizona stories.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that you get these stories all too often. I mean, let's just talk about the idea of what she actually did here. Now, I'll tell you, Arizona, you might know this, in 2021 was reportedly the second worst state for teacher salaries in the United States. I think only behind Washington, D.C. But that doesn't necessarily give someone a license to go into a classroom and film this. Now, I should tell you, it was off hours. There were no children there. But even so, what's your reaction to it?
Well, my reaction is, you'd hope that our 8th grade teacher, no matter how much they get paid, would have a little bit better judgment than that. I understand not a lot of money. You're doing a public service, but come on, using the school, that's a tough one.
It doesn't matter that it was after hours, because she makes that point in her video that it was after hours. There were no minors present. Does that change anything for you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's better than during school hours, right? But other than that,
it certainly is better than doing it during school hours. I don't mean to make light of it, but yes, you're right.
I mean, but other than that, there is actually laws in Arizona that says that you can't use school resources to make personal profit. And, I guess if she's using a classroom trying to make a profit, technically she probably violated the law.
That's my question to you. So at the time of this recording, I don't believe she's facing any kind of criminal or civil liability, but could she?
Yeah, I think in a few different instances or ways she could. Again, using school resources, the classroom, to make a profit, that's a violation of the law. And then if we're looking at more strict criminal laws in Arizona, being there, even though she had access after hours, could be a trespass. It could even rise to the level of a burglary, even if you're in a structure in Arizona lawfully, and then you commit an unlawful act on the inside, there's a potential burglary charge there. Do I think that they want to prosecute her for this? Probably not, but they could.
Let's talk about, before we get to her side of things, I do want to mention something that kind of struck me, right? It's how many times are we hearing in today's day and age people using OnlyFans, or they're using the internet to make money, good money. Some would say it's exploitative. Others are saying, hey, listen, I'm doing what I have to do to make ends meet. She's a mother. She says she had to do what she had to do. Do you think that you mentioned that Arizona has these kinds of cases? What does that tell you about where we're at in society right now? That on one hand, I'm looking at this and thinking, what kind of judgment does she have? She was teaching young children to think to do this, that this would be a good idea. But on the other hand, a part of me is wondering, should we have a little bit of sympathy here? As I mentioned, it's very tough out there. We're about to, I believe, hit a recession. And if this is a great way to make money, is it just that maybe she shouldn't have done it the way that she did it? Would it have made a difference if she was just, taking photographs of herself in her own home? Where do you stand on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think you make a really good point. I think she's entitled to make money. She's entitled to do what she wants. This is, after all, America, and you can make money in any lawful fashion. And if she's doing it somewhere else, she's doing it in her home. It's lawful, and she's entitled to do that. But all your actions, Jesse, do have consequences. So Arizona is also an at-will state, even if you're a teacher. And if you do this to make money, let's say it wasn't in the school, and the school finds out and they don't think that that meets the moral character that they want in their teachers, they can let her go. I do have some sympathy. The payment or the salaries for teachers is abhorrent in Arizona. But, judgment's important in our teachers too.
I couldn't agree with you more. But I do want to talk a little bit about her side. So she says that the superintendent told her that if she resigned before a school board meeting on October 31st, the district would, quote, not publicize what was going on. But a week after she resigned, she claims that her account went viral and many of her former students and her colleagues not only began following her, despite the page, explicitly being marked for ages 18 and older, but she said the teachers were telling the students her anonymous name and showing them her page. And she also claims that this was also sent to the parents and they decided to do the same thing as well. She talks about how the parents were harassing her. And here she explains a little bit more.
Parents are still allowing their students to follow, contact, harass, and intimidate me. These parents are posting my personal address online and threatening to show my underage children revenge porn. Community members are now going to public places, such as my gym, and threatening to cancel their membership because their children also go there. The gym owner chose to terminate my membership, although I had been a member for 4 years, because other juvenile members were harassing me by taking my picture and videotaping me while I was trying to work out.
So, Kurt, does she have any legal protection here? She talks about revenge porn. She talks about being harassed. She talks about how she can't even, go to the gym anymore, and that, her life is being negatively affected as a result of this. Does she have any legal protection?
Well, I mean, I think it's going to be a tough road for her, but listening to her and listening to what the school board members said to her and how they would keep it quiet if she resigned, she may have a contract issue, number one, even though it's verbal. Offer acceptance. The school board said, hey, if you resign, nobody's going to know about this. And if she can prove that the school board or other teachers acting on behalf of the school kind of spread these images out there and her name and her OnlyFans channel, it might be a breach of contract. If she can show how much she's been damaged by being kicked out of the gym, by being harassed at home. It's a small town, Lake Havasu. By not being able to go to the grocery store, she might have some damages there. And then beyond that, there's harassment laws in Arizona. Maybe she's entitled to get an injunction against harassment, against people that keep showing up at her house or spreading rumors about her or sending things to people that they shouldn't. So there is some legal avenues for her. I think it's going to be difficult in her position, but not impossible.
But here's the argument. If she created the content, does she have a reasonable expectation that that content would not be publicized everywhere else? I mean, it's not like a sex tape between two partners. They keep hidden. The tape goes public and they had no intention. She created something. She posted it publicly, but she didn't want everyone to see it. She only wanted her followers to see it. And she made sure to create it in a situation where, it was nobody under 18 viewing it. Does she have any expectation of privacy there? Does she have any claim against revenge porn laws? I mean, does this classify as revenge porn if her content is being, let's say, shown to minors or being shown to other people or being shown to her children?
Yeah, I don't think it does. I think that's her weakest argument. It is a public forum. She placed those images on a public forum. It's not like a former boyfriend took a private image, private film that they made and made it public. She made it public. So the revenge porn is a really tough avenue for her. That's why I would look at something different. If the school board promised her something in return for her doing something and she held up her end, maybe she has something there. But the revenge porn, one, there's not going to be any sympathy from a jury. And two, she made it public, exactly like you said. She's going to have a tough road if she's going to try to bring a revenge porn action here, because she did. She put it out there for everybody to see.
What an interesting case, but interesting conversation nonetheless. It raises a lot of different interesting questions and legal issues. Kurt Altman, thanks so much for coming on.
Hey, Jesse, thank you. Pleasure to be here.
And that's all we have for you, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here on Sidebar. Please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. I'll speak to you next time.